Welcome, friends. Welcome to Living Your Best Life with Kiki Rogers and Kiki's Keys. This is a weekly radio show that brings you stories of friends who have survived their worst and are now living their best. My name is Kiki Rogers. I'm your gracious hostess, and I wouldn't be here without my generous sponsors. So I definitely want to send some love out to We Care Tucson, Sarah Sodders Luxury Real Estate, Kiki Rogers Country Financial, Crossroads Coaching and Career Counseling, Phones Down, Just Drive, Network Outdoors, and Sean Scott with Hypnotherapy. And I'm here today with my co-host, Maggie McGrath. Hi, Maggie. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Kiki. Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad to have you here. We've been talking about this for a while, getting together on the show.
Yes, absolutely. I'm glad to be here.
Maggie, you are such a wonderful pillar in the community. You run a Snorin Senior Solutions, senior placement for older adults or those who need additional medical or caregiving, correct?
Absolutely, yeah.
How are things going in that world for you right now?
Wonderfully busy. We help people find whatever they may need, be it in-home care, assisted living, independent. So there's always people needing that service.
Oh, that's awesome. I think it takes a special heart of someone to work with seniors. And so I'm just really glad and proud that you're willing to be on the show with us today.
Thank you, Kiki.
And we are also accompanied with one of my closest friends, long-term friends since moving here to Tucson 2 years ago. I think you were one of the first people I even met, Chris Mitchell. And Chris Mitchell, you may know her also as the Tooth Fairy
of Tucson.
How are you doing?
Happy Saturday to both of you.
Oh, I'm so glad to have you. We were just talking before the show. We were talking about our kids and their milestones. You had a couple big ones this last week.
Yes, my middle schooler is going on to high school, and my high schooler is going on to college. So it was back-to-back graduation promotions. This mama is exhausted.
I feel that.
Yep. Same here.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you have one going into middle school now, don't you, Maggie?
That's right.
Oh, my gosh. Your girl?
My boy, my oldest. Yep.
How does he feel about middle school next year?
I think he's pretty excited.
Yeah.
But he was also a little emotional.
Was he?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's that older boy. That was my Ian, too. He was a little more the emotional feeler type.
Yeah, 100%.
Where my youngest, Adam, he's got such a head on his shoulders. I have no idea whose kid that is. I'm like, you're too sane. I don't know. You're too smart. You're too sane. You definitely didn't come from your father and me because I don't know where you get
He's
it from.
an old soul.
He is. He really is. But he had his graduation last Friday from high school.
Congratulations, Mama.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Sweet.
It is. A little bittersweet, you never had that chance. There's always that kind of little bit of a cloud, but you got to just try to really focus more on the celebration now and on the living child, really. But I'm so proud of them, and my mother came, and we did a lot of activities enjoying this Tucson weather out at Tohono Gardens and down at Tombstone last Sunday. So my voice and my allergies are a little raspy because of it, but it was all worth it.
Yes.
Well, proud of you too, Kiki.
Thank you, ladies, and you as well. I mean, it's hard being moms, watching our kids grow up and face life lessons, and looking back how old, when we were that age, how we kind of saw the world then versus now. If you could, Chris, talk to your 18-year-old graduating self, what would you tell her?
I always love these questions because it's an opportunity to reflect, learn the lessons as our mothers teaching, do what we didn't know or what we'd want to pass on this time around.
Mm-hmm.
Our lives were different back then in ways. And I can't even say, because when my parents were younger, they'd say life was so different. And in our time, life was so different. And now life is so different. Right. So really what I like to teach my children, I don't want them to aspire to chase certain things, because that's the construct we've been taught our whole lives. A job, money,
what
material things, what our values are.
Our values
so
were
since they were little, I've taught them, and a great conversation for today would be just being your authentic self, chasing happiness, and being vulnerable, because we are wearing masks all day in many areas of our lives. So after my divorce of 19 years being married, I spent the last 5 years doing just that.
I get that.
So I teach my children, they would see me be emotional. They would see me going through what would be painful, but also coming out on the other side, values and lessons that I've learned in that. Diversity, adversity, being vulnerable. It's okay to cry, but being your most authentic self. Because do you know what the most powerful frequency to leave the human body is?
I don't.
I don't.
Authenticity.
Okay.
Most people would say love. Love's the most powerful frequency, but it's authenticity. It's like studies 4 to 5 times more than love. So being your most authentic self, I try teaching them, is the most valuable thing, and being vulnerable and learning those lessons along the way. So that's what I tell my 18-year-old self, and that's what I'm trying to teach them now, to answer your question.
I love that so
That's
much.
perfect.
And it's honest.
Yeah, and it's hard to be honest.
It's really
because
hard.
we are raised with media, social media, TV, magazines back when we were growing up,
Right.
to this is what you should aspire to.
Right.
And for us as women, seeing those magazines when we were young, the Teen Bop, the Glamour, all the, magazines back then that were in the
Well,
when
and
we
these
were
were
in the
the
grocery
Kate
store.
Moss days too.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely. And how thin you were supposed to look.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just not everybody's body. I'm a Latina. I got curves,
Right.
And just everybody's built different. I remember going in the stores and they only had clothing for certain types of bodies that they had fit for. And it was so frustrating. So now that when I'm an adult, it's gotten better. But when I'm an adult and I see something that fits those curves,
You
when I have
embrace it,
pants
don't
and
you?
I'm petite, I'm buying 5 and 6 of those things, all different colors.
I
Even
do
with
the same.
Yes.
when my mother was in town and I can't do a lot of walking, so I have a scooter I use occasionally, and it's really like a kid's scooter with the little seat and basket, but it gets me around. And so I was sitting on it, and she's like, "Chris, do you have shorts on under that skirt, or is that a skirt?" And right away, like, I hadn't even gotten to that point yet. Mom's already telling me what mistake I'm about to make, And I love my grandmother dearly, but she's definitely from the silent generation, and she's 89 years old. And we kind of joke that the word of the family is the word should. What you should be doing, what should you be doing with your time, your energy, your love? What does that look like? And I think authenticity means identifying your own values, not based off of what generations prior told you was important to them, but what's important to you.
When you said that should, that resonates, because I heard a saying a long time ago that was just like, you shoulda, coulda, woulda. Pretty soon you're shooting all over yourself.
She did say shoulding, folks.
Shooting all over yourself, which is, it's past tense. How is
It's
that
true.
helping me at this moment?
Yeah, it's very true.
Yeah. So
And I think it's okay to value different things. Maybe that's why that's a higher frequency than love, because even who we're supposed to love and give our time and attention to is something. When Adam graduated, they had a rose ceremony, and I handed my phone to his boyfriend I'm expecting he's bringing that rose to Mom. They give it to 2 people that mean something to them. And I handed my phone over to the boyfriend to take the video of me receiving my rose. And just as I handed him the phone, Adam handed him the rose as well.
Oh, God.
And my jaw hit the floor, and my ex goes, "Uh-oh, we're going to hear about that later." And I'm like, "I'm Mom. Don't I get the
know,
rose?
right?
I'm Mom. I have a role. I have a title that inherits then certain privilege." And Adam said, "No, Mom. He's been here for me this past year through everything. I adore him. He got the rose."
yeah.
And I had to be okay with that.
Yeah. You'll get your flowers plenty of times when they're older, because I did the same thing with my parents. I apologized for what a jerk I was. Not using those words. Those were kind. But
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
we don't realize. And my daughter and her father have had some things going through this last year. But I have to remind him, just like we were, our brains aren't even fully developed.
Right.
How do we expect? And we don't even as adults know what we're doing many of the times.
Right.
We're still trying to figure it out. So give some grace, because they're just trying to barely tap into certain things, and they're encourage them to be vulnerable and authentic. And even if it's not what we agree with, which oftentimes I'm like, okay, I'm testing myself right here, but that it's okay.
Yes.
And
because they're figuring out their path. They're figuring out their values. Gosh, we are all ready for break. We're going to go and listen to some ads, give some love to our sponsors, please, folks, and then we'll be back right after this. We are back to Kiki's Keys to Unlocking Your Best Life, and we are turning our L's into lessons and making some M's with our best friends. I'm here with my friends, Maggie McGrath and Chris Mitchell. Welcome back, L's.
thank you.
We were just talking a lot about authenticity and trying to find our authentic selves. How did you find your authentic self?
I wanted to find, first of all, what I saw a thing on vulnerability and authenticity. Can I share it?
Absolutely.
So vulnerability is not knowing victory or defeat. It's understanding the necessity of both. It's engaging, and it's being all in.
Now, is that directly from Brene Brown? Or is that someone else that said that?
Doesn't say.
Have you read any of
I
Brene
love
Brown's?
Brene.
Yeah.
Yeah, she talks about vulnerability. She does a whole show on that. I think that was one of the most watched YouTube or TED Talks.
Yes,
on
TED
YouTube.
Talks.
Yes.
Yeah, it blew up, and that's where then she really branched off from there. She's got multiple books and YouTube channel now. Have you heard Brene Brown yourself?
I have.
Yeah.
I think she's great. I
I actually got introduced to her when I was doing therapy. I was doing a intensive outpatient therapy program years ago.
Wow.
And I had, with my troubled childhood, I had been in therapy since I was probably about 14 years old, in and out, and kind of had some new struggles as we are living our authentic selves. We're learning more about ourselves and learning how to reprocess some of those past memories. And so when I had children, I was dealing with my mental health struggle and had participated in this program. A lot of my therapy up to that point had been cognitive behavioral therapy. If you think you're fat, tell yourself all the reasons why you're not. If you think you're ugly, tell yourself, why you're pretty. Try to combat those feelings. And this particular program really encouraged us, instead of challenging our feelings, to dig deeper and say, why am I feeling that way? Well, I ate a pizza and I'm bloated. Of course I feel fat right now, but that's okay, because I won't feel that way tomorrow. And, and really just more embracing our emotions, and introduced us to Brene Brown. And that's how I got to know more about her. But
She is amazing. And it's hard to be authentic, our authentic selves, because, well, it's a practice of self-talk. And that when you're talking about teaching and what did you learn? So the pain that I came from could be recent. When you get divorced, it's a death
it's a loss.
of a life, a death of what the life you had. And when you have young children involved, what's the rightest thing to do? People stay because they say, I don't want to break up the family, but the realization is your family's already broken when you often get to that point.
And
So
the kids
stay-
know.
And the kids feel everything. They know, they're smart.
Oh, yeah.
So you're not doing any favors. What you are is reinforcing, modeling of maybe what they should be doing when they grow up.
100%.
So I remember the point of when I said, this is not what I wanted, because I came from a family of similarly stayed, your Catholic vows and the religious part, and you just stay. You work through it all, even though you're not really working through it all, you're just existing in it. So when I had to make that decision, what do I want for myself? And then these are my children who, 2 daughters, so they are modeling they're watching me. And it was a hard decision, but since that was made and we had moved on, there was still a lot of pain to overcome with that in the last 5 years.
I get that very much. For my ex and I, it was a matter of we compromised ourselves so much to get along that we couldn't talk about anything anymore, and there was no middle ground anymore. There was no foundation in that relationship, because we just wanted it to be peaceful and loving and kind, as opposed to honoring who the other person really was. Or honoring ourselves
gold,
too.
Gold right there. Because when it becomes contentious in a relationship, your partner shouldn't be the one you are competing with. The world is already competitive. So when you come home, that should be your safe space. And when it got to that point where maybe it wasn't for us anymore, we had to make some different decisions, then the next best thing I wanted to teach my children, and coming through that pain, is a healthy relationship with their father, which has been its own process. But I think we're in a good place. And,
that's great.
And I see that in me doing work and him doing work, and then us just sharing our lessons with each other and them. And probably the best gift I could give my children is a healthy relationship, not only with their father, but people that I surround in my life, because they're seeing what I want for me. And I'm hoping that by meiosis, mitosis goes on that, however you say it.
But you're modeling
into
that.
them. Yes.
And you're modeling them how to put yourself as a priority as well.
Valuing my younger one, talking about self-care, self-talk. It's big. Because in middle school, your middle schoolers coming in now, of what they're thinking that they may want to have or who they may want to be. And it's fascinating because when you're younger, you just want to fit in. And when you're older, you spend a lot of time trying to differentiate yourself and thinking, I don't want that, and I don't want that, and I don't want that.
I think a lot of that is the focus on, I want them to like me, as opposed to, I want to like myself, and are you somebody who fits in my likes?
That's beautiful, Kiki. That's really, it is.
And I tell my kids, you are the love of your life.
Yes.
You're not looking for the love of your life. You are the love of your life.
And that's amazing. How do you teach them to embrace that when they're young and know it all?
It's hard, but I just think through that programming of my own self-talk, through comedy, like, I'm pretty good. Like, I don't know, I'm pretty amazing at that. And they just roll their eyes, Mom. But it's that simple funniness that I think that, we're having a comedic moment. But in reality, I do feel that way. Like, I am pretty amazing. I have a lot of value. I am my best friend. I do love myself. And I remember my mom sharing years ago in middle school, as a matter of fact, she said someone had said in this Carly Simon show, so we're dating ourselves a little bit, but this song came out, You're So Vain.
Vain, yep.
And that was told to my mom, and she said that stuck with her for years and years and years, because here she was now trying to defend herself. No, improve herself. I'm not vain. I'm loving. I'm this. And what she realizes now at 71, I was pretty amazing.
Right.
It wasn't vanity. I just was feeling good about myself. And I allowed someone to come into my space and tell me something that they didn't even matter. I mean, I don't even know if she knows that person anymore. But it stuck with her. So that programming that they get out in the world, we should be their safe space, coming home and listening to their conversation, but also sharing, why isn't that, or asking lots of questions, why is that making you feel that way? And then having a conversation about and anything else that comes to your mind, and sharing the love back in positive ways.
That's great. Maggie, what are some examples? How do you model that for your children who are a little bit younger? How do you live your best for them to believe in their best?
Well, it's a good question. I think being brave and starting my company when I really was terrified, but I knew I wouldn't really believe in myself if I never tried. And it was, a huge leap of faith, and I did it, and they've been my biggest cheerleaders and my biggest supports. So that's a big story, I think, for another day.
But that's great, though. I mean, pursuing your own dreams, showing your kid that it's okay for you to put yourself first, to go after what you want for your long term, because we're moms, but we're not going to be moms forever. I mean, we are, but they're not going to need us as much down the road. And that empty nest syndrome, that's where I'm at right now. The first time I never lived with my children. I'm living by myself with just me and my dog. Part of it's pretty awesome. So I was sitting there just petting Sadie the other day. It was nice and quiet. I'm like,
everything is where you left it.
Yes,
that is a Christmas miracle right there.
If there's dishes in the sink, the only person I have to be mad at is myself. And that's one thing I learned is I'm not as angry anymore. I was so angry, even though I didn't really feel really angry towards my child or my ex. I was still acting angry because everything just upset me, it felt like. And letting go of that anger, letting go of that control was a big part of me learning how to just focus on me for now.
So I really want to know, do you use 1 cup for the whole week?
That's interesting. I have a certain cup by my bed because it's a complete spill proof. Otherwise, every single time, I don't care how spill proof I think they are, something gets spilt in my bed. And so I have my water cup on my bed, and then I have my mostly spill proof, but can be by the sink. Yeah. I guess so. And then I got my 2 for guests. That's a great question. When I had kids, I tried color coding our plates and dishes, thinking that would help.
How'd it go?
No, it didn't even last a week. Gosh, gals, this has been a really great conversation.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for being here. If you had one last piece of advice or resource for our listeners out there who might be feeling, I don't know who my authentic self is, what advice would you give them?
I would say write, and it doesn't need to be overwhelming, maybe a few things that you have wanted to do for yourself, and be brave and do them.
Well, Kiki's Keys number 1, if it isn't written, it doesn't happen. Definitely, if you aren't already, start journaling, start writing down those goals. It makes a big difference.
Yeah, seeing it, even if you're not a big journaler, just writing down authentic goals that you've been wanting to do and taking brave steps. Baby steps, one at a time. I think there was What About Bob? There was a book called Baby Steps.
Baby Steps.
That be brave and do those things that you've been wanting to do for yourself. That's how you're authentic.
That's awesome. And Maggie, if anyone's looking for senior placement with Sonoran Senior Services, how can they get a hold of you?
Oh, you can go to our website, which is sonoranseniorsolutions.com. You can call or text me, 520-954-1739.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you to all of our sponsors. We Care Tucson, Sarah Sodders Luxury Real Estate, Kiki Rogers Country Financial, Crossroads Coaching and Career Counseling, Phones Down Just Drive, Sean Scott Hypnotherapy, and Network Outdoors. And until next time, friends, be the best version of yourself that you can be, because nobody else can do it better than you.